First of all, thank you very much, Koshi.
Thank you.
And I request my team to please let me know for that time because I can go on with Koshi on multiple topics. Arun, thank you very much to set up the tone. We talk about innovation and actually I also lead the IP and the innovation piece for nasscom, which is more towards how we can build a culture of innovation. And I really liked his thoughts about not only talking about some innovation, but how everyone can be part of the innovation. So with that thought, Koshi, because our focus is more towards all the emerging hubs. We go to Jaipur, we go to Coimbatore, and multiple cities, and you are anyways part of the regional council chair for Kerala. So your thoughts on the technology readiness and the digital infrastructure, because when we go and see in any of the emerging hubs, what you see, what Kerala and specifically Kochi should do about the digital infrastructure and readiness?
All right, thanks, Bhaskar. And you mentioned about regional council. So last time we were discussing when we met that we need to see that more companies join nasscom here, and hopefully they will have more memberships, in future. So, by the way, I just talk about a bit of history how EY came into Kochi or Kerala. That time, I would say, although we say that the first IT hub, IT park in India actually started in Kerala, in Trivandrum, nevertheless, it was never been in the map of in India IT hubs. But at that time, EY came for some reasons here, and the main reason was because this used to be the nearshore hub of Middle East. And the main reason why it was set up here was the connectivity of Kerala with the Middle East was very high. And that was the only reason why it came up here. And since then, now that was only in Trivandrum. And then we moved into Cochin. And the reason why we moved into Cochin was not because at that time I remember it was less than 10,000 people in the park, or less than 5,000, I would say. And the reason was to see that we have a BCP location near to Trivandrum, but that was the only reason. But now when we look back, right, the kind of growth what we have seen in Cochin and the number of companies which have come in here, the kind of IT resources, IT professionals which have been hired here, it is phenomenal. So I was just talking to one of the leaders who actually visited here from US that we have nearly 10 locations in India itself, and we have more than 7 or 8 countries where our business unit is set up. And I can proudly say that Cochin is the second largest location of our EY GDS, which is the GCC of EY. The reason for that is definitely the infrastructure. Definitely, I'm seeing a lot of improvement, right, from what it used to be in the past. The one is obviously the talent availability. So that definitely is the reason why any IT company would go to a hub, right? So definitely very rich for that. The academia, what we have in and around this location. So very good collaboration between academia and the industry, right? We have been talking about this for ages. But what I see is in practice, there's a lot of things happening here. Then the other thing is the support from the government. I've seen in many of these kind of, meetings or IT secretary actively taking part in it and understanding what is the real need and the problems and trying to solve that. From all this perspective, I really see that, the tier 2 hubs or the tier 2 locations are coming up, and Cochin is one of the promising locations among all of those.
No, absolutely, and we can't agree more on this. And the way we look at to you, Koshi, is one is obviously your hat of EY, but also you kindly accepted the role of chair in nasscom for Kerala. So I have a connected question. When we talk about emerging hubs, and it's always a competition with any of the metros, whether you talk about Bangalore, whether you talk about Chennai, whether you talk about Mumbai. So how you see whether it's going to be a collaborative effort or it's a competition, and what is your suggestion to the audience here, and how you see that?
Absolutely. So, as you know that, definitely there has to be a competition, but what I would say is that it has to be in healthy competition because every location will have its own differentiation, right? So when you see from a Kerala perspective, the Human Development Index, if you see from a Kerala, it is comparable to any matured, I would say, economies, even comparable with Europe, for instance, or even US. So that is one differentiation. Now, so every location, I would say, every hubs need to identify their, difference or their edge, and try to see that they are projecting that. And end of the day, right, when we actually, all these hubs are coming together, we are working towards a common national agenda, right? Because when we are moving towards 25 trillion economy, I'm sure that every state has to contribute into that. Most of the states are aiming towards crossing that 1 trillion economy. And these hubs will actually definitely contribute to that, right? And likewise, I always keep telling that, when we should not be trying to become another Bangalore or another Hyderabad or, another metro. Rather, try to find that niche and try to build that niche and, go towards that.
No, and very well said. And I can tell you with my experience, I was in Mangalore a month back. And while both are in the same state of Karnataka, I suggested them when you talk about Mangalore, it should be known as Mangalore, not as a Bangalore. So similarly, in terms of Kochi, it should be known as a Kochi and what we are going to deliver from here. But you have actually given me a cue for my next question. One of the biggest assets in our industry is talent. And as per the research and as per the multiple reports, it talks about 60% of the talent come from emerging hubs. And then the migration happens because of various reasons. How you see the talent availability and what is your advice? Because we have also some of the students joined in today, and especially people, those who are in the bracket of 3 to 5 years, they have a tendency to migrate to a metro. So what is your advice to them?
Yeah, so I don't know whether the trend, it used to be the trend, but if you are able to bring, challenging and good jobs to the near locations, I doubt whether there will be a tendency to actually migrate. That is what. And the other trend, what I'm seeing, and that many of the companies here, I'm sure that many of the business leaders and the C-suite who are present here will agree to that. We are benefiting from the concept of reverse migration because many people in the last 2 decades who have moved out of the city, moved out of the state, or moved out of the country have the trend to come back and actually work for the companies for different reasons, to be connected with their roots, to be connected with their purpose, and that is benefiting in a big way. In addition to that, earlier why the migration were happening was because the opportunities were less. But now, many of the startups, many of the mid-tier organizations, and even large organizations are setting up in all these hubs. So that is where I think the trend for migration will not be there so much in my view, personal view. And even if the migration is there, I think to a great extent there will be a reverse migration as well.
No, so let's do a quick check, just to check whether you all are awake. How many of you want to move out of Kochi and go to any of the metro? If you can raise your hand. So I think you are right, Koshy.
Yeah, not even single answer up.
Yeah, absolutely. And now my next question to you is, we always talk about startups, the kind of deep tech work is happening. And this is again based on the complete data and the report. It talks about around 40% of the deep tech and the startup work happens from the emerging hub, which is very, very encouraging, by the way. And obviously, there are a few challenges. You don't have access to VCs and all. But what is your recommendation to the startup and deep tech, those who are working from an emerging hub, and what could be their pathway to move to the next level?
Yeah. So absolutely. So even from a Kerala perspective, we have seen that a lot of investments have gone into the deep tech entities, especially because of the likes of DRDO or ISRO and all being here and their support as well. In addition to that, the government's vision of supporting these kind of entities, because KSUM, Kerala Startup Mission, has been doing a phenomenal job in terms of supporting these kind of organizations, not just from funding, but even beyond that. Helping them with networking, taking them to other locations like Silicon Valley, and also connecting with the strong buyers, globally. So the ecosystem is very good, and I'm really happy to see that from a Kerala government and also from a startup mission perspective, they are doing a phenomenal job to actually make sure that more and more companies are coming here. It is not just in terms of volume, right? It is not a number of jobs getting created alone, but the impact, what it creates. What I was hearing is that, some of the, we went for this Mars mission, and even this, moon mission. Some of the equipments which are used in that were by the company, manufactured by the companies who are set up here. So it's a phenomenal change which has happened over the last few years.
No, and absolutely, you rightly said, kind of impact is getting created. And in NTC itself, in Bangalore, we have got one of the astronaut, and I don't know how many of you are aware. I was very surprised to hear there are only 4 active astronauts in India. And this is not something which we feel bad about it, that number. But even when I got this number, I was checking with him, what is the count of astronauts in US? And it's actually 12. So that kind of impact and the kind of work ISRO and the startup, I was going a little deeper on the Mars mission, and I was talking about what kind of equipments you get, and it's all coming from India and emerging hubs. So that kind of impact is happening. So it leads to my next question, Koshy. You spoke about emerging hub, we talk about talent, quality of life. I started my welcome note with, obviously, Kerala is always God's own country, fantastic place, I wish to move here. But how you see the cost sustainability and quality of life here?
Yeah, so we all go by the data because end of the day, impressions may be on one side, but definitely, when you leave here, then only you'll realize, and when you compare with when you're living in another busy city. I think it was being consciously, I would say, seen over the past. Like, I think there's a big connection between the tourism, which is one of the major, I would say, revenue streams from here. Plus, this IT industry. So I have seen many of the leaders telling that we can combine this because, we talk about workation. So people can come here, have a relaxed kind of a setup and actually work from here as well. So these are some of the concepts which have been talked for a long time. And Kerala is, I would say, a fertile location for that. And also, I think in a good way, there not been a metro in Kerala because I think there is a right level of balance between life and work, and which is what I have also experienced from since I lived here and also lived outside. And I think we should take benefit of that, and the company should take benefit of that.
No, absolutely, and I will tell you my experience yesterday, and one of my colleagues came from Delhi, and we just went out for tea. And he was amazed. We have to just pay 15 rupees for a tea. And it's a nice place. So that quality of life with the cost sustainability, that plays a very, very important role because we compare with any of the metros, maybe a little jazz, but the cost and the quality of life, it plays a very important role for any company to set it up. And my next question for you, Koshy, because...
Maybe I just add one more point. I just remembered.
Please.
The IT secretary was actually mentioning, I mean, he's, by the way, not from this state, and, mentioning about the air quality of life. So he was telling that, he actually was telling that if you want to increase your lifespan by another decade, another 10 years, you might as well come to Kerala and live here, right? Rather than living in a polluted location.
Yeah, and very well said, because the moment you see or hear Delhi, it starts with AQI level. The moment you talk about Bangalore, the first thing comes to your mind is traffic. So I think it's a very good combination, the balanced approach in Kerala, in Kochi. And that's how you will see most of the people, those who come here, they have a tendency to stay here. They generally don't want to move out. But more from the business standpoint, Koshi, because you are here, you are seeing every day what's happening. But what's your point of view on the ease of doing business here? And what is the support we require from government?
Yeah. So again, coincidentally, the report came 2 days back again, where ease of doing business was Kerala was rated at the highest. See, that is on one side, but unfortunately, many a times the general impressions get created that because of the left government, things may not be good here. But then I think we all should work together to actually pass the right message to the business community and even otherwise, right? To see to it that, see, for example, EY as a firm, we actually, started with 10 people 20 years back. Today we have nearly 14,000 people, 13,000 odd people, right? And when we had the GCC summit along with the chief minister, we had all the GCCs who were not having a presence in Kerala. When they heard this, they fell off the chair, thinking like many of the GCs were only having 5,000, 4,000, 1,000 people. When they realized that EY has 13,000 people here, couldn't believe it. So that is, I mean, if we couldn't have grown, we wouldn't have been to this number, right? And plus the level of support and the connection what we have with the government is phenomenal. And I'm sure that anyone needed here will get the support likewise.
And then before I go to my next question, if you have any questions to ask from Koshy or from me, please raise your hand. We will get the mic pass on. So Koshy, we talk about emerging hubs, and I will tell you with my experience, I work with multiple governments, whether it's government of Kerala, government of Karnataka, government of Madhya Pradesh. Everyone is talking about emerging hubs, whether it's Indore, Mysore, Mangalore, Jaipur. How you see the positioning of the emerging hub, because whether all the emerging hubs should collaborate, learn from each other, because right now what is happening is more towards the, I don't know whether it's a healthy competition or it's a competition, but everyone is trying to get their piece of pie and get in their state, because obviously the investment is one piece. But how you look at this?
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is that, I mean, you will see the trends in terms of, if you go to, say, for example, Tamil Nadu, you can see that, the manufacturing sector and, the SaaS, organizations, enterprises. So likewise, I think every, like Coimbatore, if you see, it has its own speciality. If you go to Jaipur also, likewise. So I think definitely there will, it seems to be will be a competition, but then I think every hub has to, fight for itself and earn what it needs, right? So from Kerala perspective, what I've seen is, like, for example, I have traveled to many of the hubs, right? Along with my colleagues, I traveled to T-Hub, which is in Hyderabad. And the reason why we travel is to see that what is the difference, and they were very open to actually share. They knew that we are coming from here, and they knew that we have a close connection with the Kerala Startup Mission. But then the kind of dialogues we had, they were saying that, okay, what are the differences there, what they are bringing onto the table, so that we can learn from that. And we actually, when we met them, we told that please do come here, and happy to host you here, so that we can learn from each other. So that is a kind of collaboration what I am seeing, at least, right? Especially in this tier 2 hubs, right? I mean, that is the culture what I see. Even when you see, if you go to a Trivandrum, this kind of a meeting, or a Cochin meeting, even within the centers, right, I see that there's a lot of collaboration and competition, like, learning from each other, trying to refer. I mean, we were just referring to one of our colleagues here, Vijay, who used. So one of the clients came from Middle East here, right? And we had our own problems to support them. We referred them to actually one of the companies here. Now they are one of the good clients for them, right? So every company here does that, and that is the culture what I've seen, especially in the tier 2 locations.
No, and I completely agree with you, because I'm seeing this collaboration in multiple states, and very recent, which is going to happen on 18, 19, and 20th. And I was very surprised. I'm sure some of may heard of about Bangalore Tech Summit, which happens, like, they claim it is Asia's largest and whatever, but all the states, they are having pavilion in Bangalore Tech Summit. And when I have asked, because it's Government of Karnataka initiative, one of the things which came out very clearly is we are not seeing as a Karnataka initiative, it's an India initiative. So you will have Government of Kerala, Government of Maharashtra, everyone there, and everyone is trying to influence people to come and set it up there. Do we have any question from the audience before I move to the next question? Okay, if you can pass on the mic, please, at the first row.
Before that question comes, I didn't want to, miss this point. Actually, Binu sitting here was mentioning about, many of the state representatives, including the ministers, going for this Davos summit. And what he was mentioning is that the minister from Andhra was actually batting for Kerala and just mentioning about the Kerala location. So there was no need for him to do that, right? So that is the level of, common purpose I see that between different hubs within India. So it's a good trend. What?
No, it's a very good trend for India because that's how, if we are targeting for a Viksit Bharat by 2047, keeping politics aside, but that's the way. Yeah, please ask your question.
Thanks, Bhaskar. Hello, Koshi. So a couple of things that I'm sitting with right from the morning, the two sessions that we've had. We're talking technology and we're talking talent, we're talking humanity, but almost quite cerebrally. It's very surgically different departments, and the undercurrent of it would be the element of culture. So when things are really speeding up, I think what most people end up forgetting is how can we step back a bit and look at it with some level of a slower pace to look at where exactly can the connecting dots become better. So as much as we're seeing collaboration, to me, I'm experiencing at this point in time more as a very peripheral lip service kind of a collaboration that I like to be good to each other, but not necessarily hold each other's hand and see how can I pull each other up in many ways. And I'm not talking about in the context of Kerala, but largely in the context of even intra-teams, right? There is the mention of healthy competition, which is a seed for toxic work culture. So we've changed from an 8-hour, 9-hour work culture to a 12-hour, 14-hour work culture. We don't speak about things that really matter, but really about performance and numbers and stuff like that. I'm really looking to both of you to understand in the way forward towards the scalability and the future of tech that's been there, how is culture really being addressed beyond the antaksharis and the rangolis and the festivals that we celebrate in the office? How are you bringing in collaboration within the team? How are you looking at the attrition problem has significantly been about bad management, which is a cultural issue within the Indian context. How are you addressing those elements? And that's something I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, so I think your question is very, very relevant and close to my heart as well because it is very important because all of you sitting here are leaders for the business units, for the organizations. I think this all starts from that individual who is actually leading the team, right? And what I have seen, different shades of culture, whether gray or positive or negative. But what I could relate to was, how the leaders were actually driving that. And actually it has a very big bearing on it because there's a very soft aspect and we feel like it happens by itself, right? But then what I've noticed over the years in different organizations, because I worked in other organizations also, I could connect with the traits and the drive of the leaders, right? And same applies to even inter-organization collaboration also, right? There was no reason, in the previous example, there was no reason for us to actually refer that client to another entity here. But we felt like it is if we are not benefiting, let somebody else benefit like that, right? So I think there is a very high dependency on the tone at the top, and we all as leaders have to commit to it. Because if that culture is lost, then whatever we do definitely will not have an impact, be it on the clients, be it on the people, or be it in the community at large. That's my 2 cents. Bhaskar, you want to add?
So I will give you answer in 2 folds. One, I will give you example of nasscom. I have seen, so we have a council which is known as a regional council. And if you will see the regional council, all the people from the different organization, these leaders come from a very different organization. In some of the cases, they are competitors. And I have seen IBM and Wipro sitting on the same table and talking about India. So that kind of collaboration is always happening. Like Koshi is our chair for Kerala. So he's not talking about EY. He's talking about India. He's talking about IT industry. So that kind of collaboration we are always seeing from all these leaders and how we can contribute. Now going a little deeper when you talk about culture in any organization, I will give you another example. When we talk about innovation, because I also lead the IP charter for nasscom, when we were discussing about innovation, one of the things which came out very clearly is, if you go and ask what you are doing in innovation, generally the answer is, we have Center of Excellence and we do hackathon, right? And I have got at least 60-70% of the answer on the similar lines. My only question was, and I'm just connecting what Anand has spoken about in his inaugural keynote, it's more towards how we can build the culture of innovation for everyone. It should not be with some set of people. And if you spend at least 2 hours in a week, it's going to play a very, very important role, because that's how we will build the culture. It should not be with some set of people. And it's also not only for the leaders, to be very honest, it's also with middle managers. They play a very, very important role. Maybe Koshi can drive from the top, but people, those who are middle managers, they also play a very, very significant role. So I think it's top down and bottom up. That's how I look at it. But I think it's everyone's responsibility to work on it. Do we have any other question before? Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Koshi, to you. I think you have done a really phenomenal job as far as the GCC expansion, right, of EI in Kerala. And you highlighted the positives of Kochi as well in terms of infrastructure, collaboration with education institutions. At the same time, when we say compare with other metros, what is it that we really lag behind, right? Because when you look at Kerala, besides say Allianz and EY and probably IBM to an extent, we don't really see the marquee brands, right? So what could be the top couple of things that are holding us back?
Yeah. So when you talk from a SME perspective, right, medium size companies, one issue what they could face is in terms of their connections and networking with the VCs and for the fundings, so on and so forth, and that is applicable to any tier 2 locations. But I think that is where I think the government and the ecosystem has to help a lot to actually bring the VCs and the funding mechanisms down to this place. But then we are seeing many things happening, like you have seen what has happened with IBS, you have seen with what has happened with the hospital chain, which got funded from global funding organizations, VCs. So that could be one aspect, which could be better. The other thing is, if you want to actually set up a GCC here, which needs maybe 100,000 people, it will not be practical here, and that's not needed also here, right? So we have seen those kind of large organizations in Hyderabad and say Bangalore, for instance. If you want to set up something like that here, it is probably practically not that possible, and we should not be aiming for that, right? That is a second aspect. And third, in one of the meetings, we're talking about the general infrastructure, roads around it and all. But what I've seen is that a lot of improvements which are happening. You've seen the metro coming here, for instance. And one of the points what Balagopal was actually mentioning is that we as a state is like a continuum, right? We don't have to just focus on Kochi as a city alone, right? The whole of Kerala state can be seen as one unit. And there are many companies, like for example Zoho, who are actually not just setting up in Cochin or Trivandrum, they are setting up in locations which is somewhere in between. And that is a kind of infrastructure with this road also connecting from north to south. And that will be a big opportunity for Kerala, actually expanding Kerala overall rather than just based on these cities. These are a few points. I think there are positives and negatives. I think we all should work towards contributing what best we can do to address the challenges for these tier 2 locations.
Sure, thank you.
So before we close and wrap up this session, Something interesting I thought, Koshi, I will check with you, and it's a rapid fire. So I will give you one word, and you have to respond in one word. And I can promise you guys, I have not given him any clue what I'm going to ask him. So I will give you 3 words, and you have to respond within 10 seconds. Whatever word comes to your mind first. Innovation.
Technology,
Okay. Culture.
leaders,
Kochi.
great place to be here.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause for Kochi. Thank you, Koshi. Thanks a lot.